Hi, Alfred.
Hello.
Happy Sunday. Good evening.
Happy Sunday. Magandang gabi, Pilipinas. Magandang gabi, Pilipinas. Magandang gabi, Philippines. Good evening.
Good evening. And of course, and a special good afternoon or good morning to all of our listeners from all over the world. It's Sunday again. Welcome to Madz Talk, your weekly dose of songs, stories, and shared passion.
Yes. And inspiration also, and learning and joy and many more things in between. A few minutes before the episode started at 8:30, we played a feature madrigal of the week. We're going to do this every episode. We'll have a feature madrigal of the week, the Renaissance song form from where the Madz got its name. So our opening performance was selected by Sir Mark Carpio. It was a live recording of the entertaining French madrigal La Guerre by Clément Jeannequin.
Every week, we bring you different topics, different themes, and different ways to find joy, fun, inspiration, and connection, especially in these challenging times.
Okay, so for this episode, tonight's episode is a second part, right?
Yes, it's a second part. This is a back-to-back feature on Who. We had it last week. And this week, this Sunday, we will have Ha Ha Ha, or the halakhakan part. Tonight, we will enjoy a lot of stories about laughter, joy, and kung ano-ano pa.
So we're going to feature playlists of everything that's funny, that's entertaining, that's hilarious, that's joyful, and songs that make you smile or laugh, or songs that simply brighten your day.
Yes.
So, and for our listeners, just as last week, you learned what the Filipino word hugot meant. Today, you will learn, for our non-Pinoy speaking audience, you will learn what is halakhak and other words like ngiti or tawa. So Odette, are we just going to look at all the playlists of all the funny songs? Is that going to be a very short list? Baka naman maiksing listahan lang yan, ha?
No, of course not. We have prepared a very, very special program for this evening for everybody. And to help us dig through our playlist tonight is we are happy to welcome Madz guests from across the world and across various generations of the Madz. These are Madz soloists who have brought us the most hilarious, most entertaining Madz songs to life. Please welcome the legendary, the iconic, and the amazing. Let's bring them in, our guests.
Huh?
From across the world and across various generations. Hi!
My feedback.
My feedback.
Hello!
Hi!
And then, so we have Enrico Lagasca, all the way from Michigan.
Hello.
Who else do we have?
Teka lang, bakit umalis si Boyong? Boyong!
grand entrance, the legendary Boyong Robles and Jong Piquero, who we can see in shadows.
Ayan na. Good morning.
Good morning sa inyo dyan. Si Boyong is in Florida. Boyong, can you hear us? Hello,
Ayan na.
Boyong.
Hello!
Ayan!
Ayan!
Yay!
Naka-on na ba?
Yes, you're
Oh, na,
live.
yes. Live ka na.
Oh.
I am
Yes,
technical.
no, we can hear you.
Talent. Oh, pinrest ko na yung mute. On. Okay. Mute off.
Okay. So, Jong, we can hear you, although we can barely see you. Say hello, Jong.
Oh, hi. Sorry, papalitan ko yung background. Para akong multo.
Okay lang, okay lang. So,
I can also
while
see
waiting for
Paolo.
while we're waiting for the technology to settle down, why don't we ask our guest? Tonight, we're going to feature Halakhakan, all the fun, hilarious songs. So maybe let's start with whoever wants to start. Tell us what's your funniest, most amusing, most entertaining. What's your own pick?
Wait, hold on. They have to introduce themselves first.
Okay.
Yes. Let's start with, with Enrico first.
Ay, akala ko.
Correct. Good morning, good evening sa Philippines, and good afternoon sa kung saan man sulat mo. Good morning. I'm Enrico Lagasca. I sing bass with the Madz, and I was with the Madz from 2003 through 2007, and then I went back 2009. I live in New York. I'm based in New York, but I'm currently sheltering in place in northern Michigan. Yeah, it's nice to be here. Thank you for the invite, and hi everyone.
Okay. Next.
Hi.
Boyong.
Hindi si Jong muna.
Hindi si Ana Piquero to, si Jong Piquero. Sorry, ano yung background eh. So, nag-join ako ng Madz 1995. Umalis ako noong 2004. May 2 years na hiatus na kasi nag-aral po ako abroad. Tapos umalis ako nung, siyempre, tinali na ako kay Ana, nagpakasal na. So, yan.
Oo, di ba? The love team of the century. Okay.
Yes.
Parang boy.
And of course, the legendary.
The legendary.
Okay, may script ako eh. Okay. My name is Armando Robles, fondly called Boyong by Madz colleagues and close friends. I joined the Madrigal summer of 1983 and have sung with them till 1991. I now reside in South Florida as an IT programmer. The interesting part, I'm glad to be invited by Alfred to be one of the resource speakers for today's subject matter. Halakhakan.
So let's jump into your favorite top songs before we go into the audience choice.
Yes.
What's your top halakhakan, joyful, and entertaining, joyful, sunshine song? Who wants to go first?
Ako siguro, ang pinaka-gusto kong song talaga, When the Saints. For those siguro na sanggol pa lang nung mga 1990s, yung When the Saints kinantayan ng Madz 1994. So kasi variation siya ng 10 songs, di ba? So yan ang pinaka-paborito ko. Bakit? Kasi each and every time na kinakanta, it's actually different. May something na iba. So talagang ano siya, hilarious.
Okay.
Enrico.
Ang lakas naman makasabol. Hindi na ako sanggol noon nung nanonood ako ng Wendy. Pero not necessarily funny song, pero like for me, I think it brings joy. Is Let It Be. I remember very clearly. I was 2003 or 2002. It maybe is your farewell concert, Madz. Kasi I was a huge fan then, like many of us, nasa audience din ako noon, and talagang, oh my God, I love the Madz. Yada, yada. And nanonood ako ng farewell concert ninyo sa US Tour maybe, or UMC. Either of those two. Pero, Let It Be. That was the first time na narinig ko siya. And just brings joy. Like to me, like for example, like from the build up from that single solo to like, you know, the big choir and then all that clapping and then yung audience participation, you know, you once na mag-start na rin mag-clap yung audience, parang, ay, ganon, there is, iba lang, iba yung energy. And after that, sobrang, wala na, sobrang joyful ng naramdaman ko. And to note, ang first soloist na narinig ko niyan is ang yung beloved wife. Nasabi nga na yung grid sa Zoom, Ana Piquero. Siya ang una ko narinig na soloist. Siya ang una narinig ko soloist na Let It Be. So, and then from then on, you know, like super love me Let It Be. Kahit nung nag-Madz na ako talagang nakakatawa. And then you see the audiences na talagang they know it kasi it's such a universal piece na everybody knows. So, ayun. So for me, it's Let It Be.
Okay. Tatalakayin natin yan mamaya kung bakit pumasok yan sa funny, hindi naman funny or joy.
Hindi naman siya
That's
funny.
an interesting point. Okay, Boyong, ikaw.
Well, since the question is ano yung pinaka-funny, right? I would
For
say,
you.
For me, I would say yung Italian salad. Kasi lahat ng mga soloista, may kanya-kanya silang mga, alam mo na, pakulo. And yeah, and the fact that during my stay with the Madz, it's, you know, it started when in 1983 during the major concert, doon ni-launch yun. And then, siyempre, for as long as nandoon ako, I was always doing my part. So, and I was counting. I did it for almost 14 years.
Wow!
Kaya sawang-sawa na yung mga tao later on, hindi na pumapalakpak, tumatawa na lang sila. Pagod nang pumalakpak. So that's
Okay, sige.
Pero I like all of your chosen songs. Pero let's listen. Let's see what our audience has picked as their top. Okay, as their top yung kanilang happy song. Can we have our first list, please? Yung funny natin, funny list. Ayan.
Unexpected there.
Anything unexpected there. Well,
yan naman ang di ba?
Coconut nut talaga yung I think we have heard it for a long time already. It's still in the current repertoire of the Madz until now. Okay.
Naputang ko.
Bebuti nga medyo a bit surprising for me because the last time I heard Bebuti nga was maybe I was still in college. Fangirling over the Madz. Just like Enrico, yon, fangirling over the Madz ko. Yung last na nadinig ko yung Bebuti nga. Padibahan Medley is again a part of the repertoire of the Madz in 2000, I think. And of course, Papa ka ba? Bakit nandyan yan?
Di ba solo mo
Papa
yan?
ka ba is...
Original ka dyan.
Kaya pasok sa listahan ba yun?
Trivia lang, I only sang it for 3 times.
Ay.
But yes, my name is on the score. Lovingly arranged by my best friend Anna for me. That was okay. Enough. We also have Cats Meow, Bukunat, and Karaoke. Yeah.
So,
yan ang playlist natin.
Yung coconut, interestingly, bago natin talakayin yung coconut, there is a cousin to that, the bukunat. Okay, so for listeners, there are actually two songs, magkapinsan yan. So bago nating tatalakayin yung bukunat, because the main soloist of bukunat is with us on the panel, si Jong. Tingnan kaya muna natin itong video na ito.
Let's have our first video, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Sheen Sanchez. I was a tenor with the Magical Singers from 1998 all the way to 2008. I sang Bukunat all those years. The guy who sang it before me was Jong Piquero.
Sustansya, pampalakas sa naghihina. Ito'y tunay na bitamina sa mga bata nag-eskwela.
I remembered the audience, especially the foreign audience, were very entertained with the song because of my movements and my actions. They don't necessarily understand the words, but I tried to come up with translations of some words depending on which country we were singing it. In Italy, instead of singing heart, I would sing cuore. It was a very fun song. I would try some tricks, some new actions and dance moves that the members of the Madz haven't seen before, so that they could be entertained even if I do it almost every night. What I did to make it distinctive, to be my own, I didn't really consciously do it so that it could be my own interpretation. I used my voice to change sound. You cannot really use a very classical sound, so I tried to give different vocal colors, and I guess that helped in the performance.
Thank you, Sheen. Sheen sent us this video from Los Angeles, from LA. Oo, yes. O, nakita mo ba yung video mo, Jong?
Alam niyo ba yung story niyan, yung Bukunat? Ginawa yan ni Ana, originally kay Boyong dapat yan. So yung mga nakashook ng pyesa niyan, mababasa niyo sa pyesa, o enter Boyong solo. So makikita, si Boyong talaga yan. Ngayon, 2 to 3 weeks before our farewell concert sa CCP, 1996, nag-rehearse kami sa bahay ni Tita Nini Jorge. Ang super love natin si Tita Nini. And alam nyo ba, sabi ni Ma'am, halika, let's rehearse na ito, Bukunat. Sino ba soloist ito? Sabi ni Ma'am. Sabi niya, ay, Ma'am, si Boyong po. Tapos nakita ko ni Ma'am sa audio, ikaw nga, sige, ikaw muna. Tapos yun na yun, parang sa akin na binigay yung solo. Alam mo, tapos, siyempre, alam mo naman sa Madz, di ba? Sabi, ang bili ni Alfred tsaka ni Candy, huwag kang magpapahuli na hindi mo alam yung pyesa. So, every time sinabi sa'yo ni Ma'am, kumanta ka, kailangan ready ka. Eh, siyempre, paborito namin ng tatay ko yan eh. So, siyempre, na-rehearse na rin niya. Kaya, yun. Kaya, yun ang story niyan.
Familiar na.
Oh. Moral of the story, bawal mag-absent. Baka maunaan kasi solo.
Yes, correct.
Pero nakanta ba ni Boyong ever? Nakanta mo ba, Lola, ang Bukunat?
Minana ko yung The Coconut Nut nung 96 to 98 tour namin. Akong gumagawa.
No, Bukunat.
Not Coconut. Hindi. Pero yung Coconut Nut ako.
Yan.
Ang coconut, John, how do you make that Bukunat funny?
Hello. Dinig ba?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah. Actually, may advice si Ma'am sa akin eh. Sabi ni Ma'am, natural ka lang, sabi niya. Tapos, wag mong pagandahin. Tapos sabi niya, sige, own it. Yun yung in-advise niya. So, ang ginawa ko naman, parang kumausap ako ng ibang tao kasi wala pang YouTube noon panahon na yun, di ba? So, sabi nung iba, sabi, baka gusto mo i-try yung daddy grooves na move, yung parang mga ganong moves, di ba? So, parang nag-try ako nung mga, alam mo yun, kumausap din ng mga ibang members sa mga inputs nila. So, yun, kinawing-kawing lang. Kasi hindi naman ako marunong sumayaw eh, di ba? So, parang siguro nakakatuwa kasi yun, matigas yung katawan ko, di ba? So, ganun siguro.
I think it also has something to do with how you were pronouncing the words, yung lyrics. Oo.
Punchline, di ba? So, very clear yung punchline, di ba? Bili na kayo ng buko, di ba? Matamis at sarap isuo, di ba? So, clear.
Yung mga keywords.
Keywords lang, keywords lang.
Natural lang.
Kailangan natural.
Odette, so this is interesting because Bukunat and Coconut are sort of similar. So, ang Coconut, mas matagal yun sa repertoire natin.
Yes.
So, do you want to
because Bukunat, hanggang kay Sheen lang. Sheen left 2008, he said. So after that, we did not sing Bukunat anymore. It was the Coconut Nut by National Artist for Music, Ryan Cayabyab. And actually, the Madz has 2 arrangements. First, we have one by Sir Yudi Palaruan and another one by Mr. C. So the Madz has 2. That is, of course, the top answer in our survey, and we were able to gather the thoughts of our coconut men And we shall hear from them tonight with this video. Can we have that, please?
Hello! Ako po si Jello Francisco. Ako po ang unang nagsolo ng The Coconut Nut ni Mr. Ryan Cayabyab, arranged for choir by UD Palaruan. 19 Kopong-Kopong. Why do I think that The Coconut Nut is funny and entertaining for Filipinos? Maybe it's because it's fun. Non-Filipinos, they really enjoy it too. First and foremost, it's in English, animated. It's catchy, up-tempo. As the very first to perform this iconic song, how do I prepare for it? Well, I don't take myself seriously. It's a novelty song. It was more effective when the Madz was performing it because it's always live. It's more fun, for me. I get to do it differently every time I perform. People can see right through you if you're having fun with that song, and they will have fun with you. I think spontaneity is the key. Dapat spontaneous ka. That's why people who kept on watching the Magical Singers every time they have a concert in the Philippines or somewhere around the world, even those who follow you around, they still find it funny because, they watch a different version of it every time it's sung.
Hi, my name is Tim Valiega, and I sang The Coconut Nut from 2012 to 2013. It was initially planned as parang a second encore song because it was successful before. So how do I differentiate it from the ones that sang before me? Hindi sila kalbo. All I need to do is just step out of my chair, go out. Pag nakakita silang kalbo, tatawa na sila. Hindi naman video before. We had to create our own style. It's a good thing that we have a choreographer in the group, si Tommy. And here's the funny thing. The choreography changes. So, it's a surprise. We keep it a secret from the group. Makikita na lang nila on the day kung ano yung gagawin namin. We always try to change it. Pero another thing is that we try to use props. So, mayroong part dun sa song kung kailan ako tumatalikod. That is a suggestion ni Kuya Alf, parang ganyan. How we keep it funny is that we try to word paint like the funniest version I remember is nung nagpunta kami sa Germany. And there was this table in the middle of the formation of Madz, semicircle. Hindi namin siya maalis. Tapos mahilig ako manood ng I tried to do yung kay Mr. Bean. Yun dapat ang gagawin ko. Kaya lang, in the middle of that, nadulas ako dun sa carpet. So, plumakda ako dun. So, hindi na napigilan ng Madz. So, tumawa na lang sila ng tumawa. Bumawi na lang ako sa dulo. Sayaw-sayaw. That's me, Mr. Coconut. Yan yung tawag nila sa akin. Coconut.
Well, I think the challenge lies in the fact that the Coconut Nut is an educational song. But aside from the funny lyrics and the Caribbean accent you are supposed to use, I think what makes it funny, the choreography and the character of the soloist, and the vibe that it's giving to the people. I think that what makes it entertaining. It's kind of a surprise for them to see such act, dancing and doing all the crazy thing. That's a very Madz kind of way. You drive them into an emotional journey where you just made them cry, you just touch their hearts by just sitting there, and all of a sudden you'd see a guy singing like this crazy in front of you, doing all these crazy stuff. I think that level of fun captivates them in such a way that it applies to most of the audience, Filipino or non-Filipino. From the time it was given to me after Kuya Tim Valiega's retirement, I never really imagined myself doing this in front of the people. I mean, that's very different from who I am as a person. If you ever meet me, I'm a very shy person. I don't talk a lot, always mistaken as suplado. So it's very different from every fun role that was given to me during my stay. From a very minimalist, classy, fun role that I did, here I go with the Coconut Nut. singing with so many words that I had to remember. And what's most dreading is that I had to dance. And even though I never really danced in my whole life, and besides, Tim was a great dancer. But just what Ma'am Owe would always tell you, just do it. I think what really made it special is the fact that I can dance. And to be honest with you, I never really memorized the dance step of the coconut. Yeah, seriously. I just literally stand there doing whatever will make them laugh, And the rest of the backup dancers would do the dancing. Part of the act, there would be a moment where my character will become annoyed because they're dancing with really complicated step. I would stop and look at them. And I would copy what they're doing and I couldn't do it. But really that's because, I couldn't do such things. So, how do I dance? Well, the way I would be doing it is I would improvise and see if it would work. Yeah, and sometimes they would laugh. And if they laugh, I would do it again the next time. Sometimes it would work again, sometimes it will not, depending on which country we are in sometimes. And sometimes they would recognize the comedy style or the trending dance step that I do. I have to mention that my comedy heroes like Jerry Lewis, Andy Kaufman, Jim Carrey, and the Sacha Baron Cohen who played Borat. Yeah, they play a significant role in my comedy style. But I don't just copy them, I just watch them a lot. And maybe it subconsciously integrate into my terrible dancing act. Hi, my name is JC Jose and I sang the Coconut Nut from 2014 until my retirement in 2018.
Hi, my name is Jello and I have been singing the Coconut Nut since 2019. I first sang the solo during the Madz ASEAN tour back in June of last year. Syempre there was big pressure on my part because the soloists who I inherited the song from, they really did their best to make sure that the Coconut Nut becomes a huge, memorable Madz hit. Kabadong-kabado ako talaga kasi hindi naman ako komedyante. But with the help of Sir Mark and the rest of the Madz, sabi nila sa akin, don't think about it too much. Just go out there and be yourself. True enough, the song has its way of bringing out the personal kulit of whoever sings it. And I think one big halakhak factor din talaga is yung backup dancers. Yung sayaw is what makes it distinctively Madz. The steps have evolved over the years, and lately what we do is try to incorporate things that are relatable to the current times. I think the Coconut Nut is such a huge hit for Filipino audiences because it's a well-made novelty song that has lasted over the decades. And it's also a hit for foreign audiences because it's something that's fun to watch, easily understandable, full of educational and comedic value. The song in itself, it's already loaded with punchlines that talk about the many uses of the coconut tree. And when presented with Baroque Tagalog English accent, it's suggestive of the resourcefulness and creativity that's distinctively Filipino.
That last part of the video was taken from a concert of the Madz in Spain. So, benta. Bentang-benta yung coconut nut. Thank you to Jello Francisco, to Tim Valiega. Jello is in LA, Tim is in Bacolod, JC is in Quezon City, in Manila, and then Jello is in Cavite. So, thank you to our coconut men. Kakatawa ba talaga yung coconut?
This song has been naabutan ko pa yan. So, since panahon ko, 19 kopong-kopong nga sabi ni Jello, up to now, it's still there.
90s.
So, why the longevity of the song? Bakit matagal?
Enrico, what do you think?
Why the longevity? Bakit ang
Kasi
tagal?
it's different every time, di ba? So si Jello nung time niya, talagang sabi niya, very spontaneous. Tapos ito naman nilagyan nila ng mga background dancers, di ba? Itong mga recent, di ba? So parang it's a different, if they have copied Jello, they would not compare well, di ba? Pero ito talagang that's a different twist to it. Kaya talagang alam mo 'yon, tumatagal siya. So, hindi nagsasawa yung mga audiences niya.
And I think also because, for example, I think kasi it's very informative, especially pag we go on tour. Kasi nga, di ba, tama yung point ni Jello. Wait, Jello nga ba? Jello, the last Jello. Jello rin siya, di ba? Tama.
Yes, Jello din.
It's very informative kasi nga, parang the coconut is something that is in our culture. It's a very Filipino thing. And it identifies with our culture. So talagang, alam mo yun, parang, and then to deliver it in a very funny and just like sort of educational way or manner, and to add all these choreographies para ano. Pero I should commend din na nakakaloka lighting and microphone and video skills technique ng generation ngayon. Di ba? Ang ganda ng mga angle nila. Ang ganda ng angle ni JC, ang galing. So, wala lang.
Napansin mo sa mga soloists. I saw the video just a few hours ago for the first time, and you notice that from Jello all the way now, hindi naman they keep saying na hindi naman sila komikero. So JC is not a comedian at all by his own words, and si Jello, well, I think Jello is a funny guy, but he says he's not. Si Tim, ang video ni Tim napakaseryoso talaga. Tapos si Jello Diamos naman same thing. So it's not like we don't have the comics performing the coconut. You have the non-comics performing the coconut, and then it comes out so funny. So isa yan sa mga na-notice din natin na yung mga hindi komikero gumagawa ng funny songs, and then it comes out right. Di ba?
I think also a big factor in their delivery and the way they perform it is I am a witness to how dedicated they are in perfecting the song. Na talagang they put a lot of effort in the choreography, in the whole production. So they don't take this song for granted, even if we might say na kasi encore lang, or it's not as heavy as say a sacred song or a madrigal, pero the singers give attention to the coconut nut when they rehearse it, and when they perform it, they're all out. No, Boyong,
na parang
what do you think?
Diba? So yun siya.
Boyong, kumakanta, sabi mo na coconut man ka rin. Hindi ko alam yan.
Yeah, actually, nag-comeback appearance ako sa Madz nung 96. Nag-migrate na ako sa US nung 92, but then I came back and joined the Madz for 2 years. So during those 2 years, ako yung gumagawa ng coconut nut. And the funny thing is, nung time na yon, usong-uso yung Macarena. Yung Macarena, gano'n.
Ayan.
So yun yung ginawa kong dance move naman dun sa The Coconut Nut. So nabaliw yung mga tao doon. So, click naman siya. Yeah.
So lahat ng mga soloistas like different, and then all of them are saying serious sila. Marami tayong mga serious people who are doing all of these very, very funny songs. So isa sa mga, siguro let's look at another example of this. Wala siya sa ating top list, so it did not show up in the top list. But I think a lot of us agree that yung kasunod na feature namin ngayon about one of the funniest, we're going to show it to you now, is I don't know if you all remember the sabit sa Christmas tree and the Rudolph something. Yes, you remember?
Yes,
that's mashed up.
Yes.
Sabit-Sabit sa Christmas Tree at Rudolph are two separate songs from the Christmas cassette tape album of Yoyoy Villani, which I was able to buy a few days before our European tour in 1996. I would play the cassette during our long bus and or van rides around Europe winter season. Traveling and concertizing with snow was hard, but listening to the album made the rides and the weather bearable. We would be smiling and laughing because of the music. Ma'am Oy asked me to arrange the songs. Notating the melody came first, and then the lyrics, or lyrics and then melody, and then I added the chords. It had to sound Christmassy. Kailangan tunog pamasko. Deciding the syllables or lyrics came in next. Yung Rudolph portion ay dapat kakantahin ng mga sopranos. Naging pang solo at koro ang medley noong inaaral namin siya for the recording. I was not supposed to be the soloist for the medley. It was arranged for bass Armando Boyong Robles. Boyong had another Yoyoy Villame a few years before that. During rehearsals, I was trying to imitate Yoyoy Villame, so Boyong could have an idea how to sing it. Hearing me sing the solo, Ma'am O.A. decided I should sing it. I remember Madz recorded the medley the fastest. Na-censor pa ang Rudolph kasi hindi pang parental guidance. The question, do I see myself as a comedian? Not really. Parang hindi masyado.
Estudyanteng babae umakyat sa Christmas tree. Nadulas siya sa isang sumabit ang kanyang panty. Sumigaw ng saklolo ang babaeng estudyante. Nang ito ay tanggalin ko, lalo nawas ang kanyang panty. Si Rudolph diyan-diya, sumiksik sa pader. Sinundan siya ng mga babae, kinalabit ang kanyang Christmas tree. Si Rudolph ay tumakbo patungo.
Boyong.
Merry Christmas!
Boyong, inagawan ka na naman ng solo. Ano ba yan?
Ikaw na naman, Boyong.
Mahirap
Again,
na-
we thank you, Chris Borella. Thank you, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Yes, Boyong. Sorry.
Mahirap naman kung i-monopolize ko. So okay naman binibigay ni Oy yung others a chance. You know.
Dapat kasi naka-Apple ka sa rehearsal. Dapat ang appearance mo Apple.
Absent ka rin, no, Boyo?
Absent na naman.
Absent.
At this point, I think we get it why Boyong Robles among us is legendary. Bawat kahit ano yatang ganitong klaseng kanta, siya yung naiisip ng mga ating mga composers and arrangers. That is why Boyong Robles is legendary. That performance, by the way, was taken from yung concert ng Madz sa Cebu. So, doon kinanta ni Chris yung sabit-sabit. When I was editing all of the videos, just like what Alfred said, I really found their testimonials surprising kasi all of them, I think, said they do not consider themselves funny. So, very sharp yung contrast. So, they were talking, explaining peacefully, tapos biglang sumabit-sabit. So, ibang-iba talaga, ibang-iba sila. I was surprised, but it was interesting to find out that yung mga komedyante pala natin, serious pala sila. So, yun. So, sumabit-sabit is, let's wait for December. Maybe the present Madz will sing it. Can we move on to our next playlist?
Yes. So similar to our Hugot playlist, there were some surprises that came out during the poll. So like in the Hugot playlist, we received unexpected responses. So now, because the next playlist that came out, these songs are, if you look at surface value, they are not funny or hilarious. Look at this. Circle of Life, Now That I Have You, How Did You Know? Meron pang isa, Sus Chipe. Interesting. So Enrico, you had an interesting comment when you showed you this list. Sabi ko, and your happy song is Let It Be is probably on this list. Why is that?
Yes.
Well, actually for me, kasi it's so great to hear who and ha together kasi the flip side of the coin emotionally as performers kasi diba we have this like broad spectrum of emotions when we perform, so talagang some people call it a roller coaster of emotions and all that stuff. Kaya nga diba in the great tradition of Madz programming, talagang they take us to a journey as the audience, diba? We take the audiences to a journey na parang, okay, from sacred to here to that. And then, iba-iba yung, I think, iba-iba yung ways na na-translate yung joy sa mga tao. Like, for example, I was talking to Kuya Boyong the other day, natutuwa siya, parang joyful for him yung ngayon at kailanman, di ba? And then, for some people, joyful yung lupa, for example. Or for some people, joyful yung sushi, for example. I see that na talagang, I think emotionally, they interpreted, I think they interpreted yung question as like parang, something that not just brings laughter, but brings comfort and joy. Diba? I mean, in the great Madz piece, Prayer of St. Francis, when there is hatred, let me solve where there is joy. Where there is comfort, joy. Or sadness, there is joy. So I think yung mga nagsagot yan, ang galing. I mean, the first time I heard Now That I Have You, sino nga, si Apple yata yung solo niya at a wedding or something. Di ba napangiti na lang din ako na parang, okay. Yan. And then the first time na nilipis Circle of Life, of course, everybody knows Circle of Life with Kuya Alfred Samonte. Parang, oo. And then it brings joy sa, makikita mo naman yung audience reaction talaga, di ba? Talagang parang, okay, lalabas sila sa teatro at or sa church or kung saan man kami nag-perform na parang, okay, salamat. Alam mo yun, parang nag-pause muna yung world and then parang, okay, fun and joy and comfort. Ayun. So feeling ko, yung mga songs na to, it's very interesting that we have that little playlist. Sushi, for example, is a prayer, di ba? Take and receive.
It is, yes.
Yeah. Prayer. So, I think, yeah.
So, we have the clearly very, very funny. Then we're moving on to these are not funny, but they still turn on the sunshine for everybody. Then the third category that we looked at, which was like a toss-up, do we put these songs in a very funny category or they're in a separate category altogether, is because they are clearly not in the second category, which is what we call the feel-good playlist.
Feel-good.
The last playlist that we put together is, maybe we'll call it, for lack of a better term, we'll call it amusing, entertaining. Because if you just take the music and you just look at the text, there's nothing funny about it. But then when the Madz performs it, then suddenly they smile and they even laugh out loud. Because laughter here, what is so funny? So let's take a look at this last list.
Playlist. Our last playlist includes, as a top song would be rain songs or the rain medley. Yung Superman nandyan. We also see Italian Salad, ABBA medley, Sagot Gulaman. We mentioned the saint variations on When the Saints Go Marching In, Boy, Bulaklak medley, William Tell Overture, Habol-Habol again. So madami. Songs that are entertaining and amusing. Yan. So maybe we can ask our guest panelists now, what do you think is anything that you find most amusing or entertaining among the songs in our playlist? Enrico?
And kasi, I think having, all these songs, first of all, I mean, you look at texts, diba, and then arrangements and musical, the musical components to it. And tama si Kuya Alfred earlier, it's minsan when you just close your eyes, parang, okay, it's a serious piece, it's a serious one. And that being said, like for example, in the case of Boy, when it was performed in Madz Tawanan in 2006, which was actually my last concert with the Madz before I moved to the States. It was originally for an alto solo kasi Timmy Cruz, diba? And then part nga siya ng Madz Tawanan program and all that stuff. But it was Direct Chris Meliado who actually said na baka naman pwedeng lalaki ang kumanta nito. And with, like when he said to me na para, okay, kasi tulad ng ibang mga soloists ng Coconut Nut, I mean, I don't consider myself necessarily funny, pero like for example, sabi nga ni Jello Francisco earlier, that spontaneity is important para maging effective, diba? So in regards to Boy, na parang Direct Chris Meliado was like, just sing it, just sing it as it is and sing it as, you know, as casually as, you know, as a baritone, and just deliver the text. And then just the most subtle gestures and the subtle way you can deliver it. So para feel ko, it's the same thing at Sagot Gulaman. We were having this discussion with Kuya Jong, di ba? Sagot Gulaman being, it's actually a poetry. Is it Sir Yudi who wrote it as
Poem
well?
siya eh. Si Onib Olmedo yung naggumawa yan. So si Onib Olmedo is a painter. Pero meron siyang poem sa Sagot Gulaman. So ang text niyan, di ba? This is the saga of Mr. Sago. Maliit, malikot, at may pagkabobo.
Dali, Jong, hold that thought. Pakinggan natin yung boy.
Pakinggan muna natin yung boy. Let's listen to the boy first.
Then we'll get to that. Makakarating tayo dyan.
Sige.
Can we have the video of boy, please? Para we have visuals.
Wow, sa vegan pala kayo nag-ano ha?
Pinakatago-tago yan for 13 years.
Dito lang pinalabas ni Eni yan. Only on this show.
Only on this
Exclusive.
Exclusive.
Well, before ako nag-move sa States, sabi kasi ni Ate Nor, "Uy, may gift ako sa'yo." Sabi ko, "Ay, sige, may gift." DVD. Hindi ko naman pinanood sa Manila. Pagbukas ko ng DVD sa States, eto ang ito ang kanyang gift.
So Enrico,
So that
the song itself is not really a comedy song.
It is not. I think it's a song about unrequited love, di ba? Na parang and then yung parang, kasi we Filipinos are hopeless romantics. Na parang, and then for boy, it takes you from a story of like, oh, what a night, di ako makatulog. It's a very it represents Filipinos na before matulog, na talagang parang, oh my God, I'm thinking about my loved one. Kasi it happens to me all the time. Na parang, oh my God, di ba? From there to like all these, I think it's such great poetry. Di ba? Hanggang dun sa bridge na I'm head over heels, babe, I love you so much. I'm going crazy. Bigla siya na pa-English doon, di ba? Na parang, yeah. And dito sa vegan performance, a little trivia is that yung kasi yan hilera ng mga, let's just say, hilera sila ng mga seminarista. Diba? And then, kasi as habang nanonood ako ng Madz, naghahanap na, habang kumakanta ako sa Madz, naghahanap na ako sa audience. Na parang, okay, sino kayang pwede? Sinong game? Alam mo yun? And then you'll read na parang, go kaya to si Kuya or baka na mainis or something like that, diba? And then in-approach ko siya, and then and then nakita niyo naman sa video. Fast forward last year, nagpakilala siya ulit. He's very kind. Parang, sir, ako po yung from the vegan performance. Nalaglag po kayo sa stage. So parang, parang nakakatuwa naman. Ay, hello kuya, you're still there. And yeah, and I think like any other comedic pieces na nandun sa list, tulad nga nun kung saan where we left with Sagot Gulaman, it's actually the text. Sometimes the simplest texts are the ones that I don't know, for some reason how we deliver it is the funny. It is the funny pieces, diba? Or whoever is interpreting it.
So not funny songs. Let's talk about not funny songs. Here's another one that's I think it's not on the list, but this is again not funny. So tingnan natin itong isa. Not funny.
Okay. Yay!
Wow.
Boyong!
Nicanor Abelardo.
Boyong!
This is
Boyong,
Nicanor
can you...
Abelardo.
Yes, Kenkoy
Boyong.
by National Artist for Music Nicanor Abelardo. We saw Boyong Robles. Boyong, can you tell us a little something about the song? Kasi when I watch it, natatawa lang ako. So without knowing what it really means. So can you help us with that, Boyong?
I will not try to attempt to describe the, yung intent ng composer, why he wrote this. But Nicanor Abelardo is known for his yung mga smooth flowing condiments niya. So medyo naiiba itong Kenkoy, no? But basically it's a a Filipino comic characters that straddles along in town fiestas with his ukulele and loose fitting pants and saying, "Mi Tagalog no habla." So may pagka-Kenkoy nga siya. So yun yung spin ng kanta. And then may part nga doon na hindi ba pwede mag-tap dance. So I thought of, nag-improvise tap dancing, although I'm not a legitimate tap dancer,
So yung again, the text of Kenkoy, it's not funny at all. It's serious siya.
Yeah.
We have another example of that. The one that Jong was telling us about, yung Sagot Gulaman. Sige, Jong, what did you find out about Sagot Gulaman?
So poem nga siya ni Onib Olmedo, so painter nga siya. Ito yung text nung una. This is the saga of Mr. Sago. Maliit, malikot, at may pagkabobo. Tapos sila'y may pagtingin kay Miss Gelatin, sa lingwahe natin, gulaman, di ba? Si Aling Gulaman. So, ang naglapat sa musika nito si Yudi Si Yudi Palaruan. So, alam mo yun, if you parang i-recite mo lang yung poem, parang walang dating, di ba? Pero nung lapat na sa musika, so parang alam mo yun, yung mga punchline. Ito yung punchline na talaga natatawa lahat Kasi di ba si Gulaman tsaka si Sago nag-away sila. So may payo sa kanila si Pilosopong Tasyo. Sabi niya, kailangan nyo si Arnibal, di ba, para magkalasa. Otherwise, talaga naman si Sago tsaka Gulaman, pag kinain mo, wala naman talagang lasa, di ba?
Wala.
Mapait, di ba? So kailangan mo ng Arnibal. So pagkasabi niya, pag humiwalay kayo na kay Arnibal, yung mahahalata kayo na ang nyo ay matabang. So merong chords na ginawa si Yudi, such way pag kinanta lang Madz, each and every time, matabang. Ang galing, talagang tawa ng tawa yung mga tao about it. So,
mga tao.
Alam mo yun.
So let's listen to this.
Let's watch the video of Sagot Gulaman.
Sagot Gulan, Sagot Gulan.
This is the saga of Mr. Sagot. Malikot at may
Well, ang dalawang ito, pag walang magawa, mahilig manira ng kanilang kapwa. Si Ubi daw ay maitig, si Saging baog, si Makapuno naman, nagkunat pa sa inyo.
Puto at dinuguan, mangga at suman, sa salo-salo'y nagkakamayan. Kayo
Nagpapanggap na isang belas, panggap na isang belas, sa loob ng kahosa.
Miss O. Miss O.
Wow, Miss O!
Oh, talaga ikaw pala yun.
Wow.
Ang pambansang rapper ka pala.
Kala ko dediretso sa umbak
Dati,
eh.
nung pinagawa yung rap nun, I inherited it from Sandy Manalo, the first soloist. I mean, I'm not into poetry, so it was difficult to understand, to really tell people what it means through the solo part. Basta all I knew was it was a rap. So parang I was more concerned with just delivering the words clearly and to provide the comedic factor. So yun nga, may props din si Shein, tapos meron din siyang ganun. So good times.
So isa sa mga top I don't say it's just funny, but it's actually on the music side, is one of the reasons why Boyong is on this show and why Boyong is the most favorite comedic, amusing, hilarious entertainment. So I think the video will introduce itself and we'll just have to go straight into it. You've seen a lot of versions of this. We are happy to show you the very first version of the very first premiere of the very iconic role played by this iconic actor. Okay, can we play this video? Take it away, Armando Robles.
Bravo.
In fairness naman, hindi lang ako sa Luisa dyan. We had Jojo Velasco, who was doing yung mga Benito Tutti, Alla Vendetta. And then yung Conrabia was done by Monet Silvestre, Edward Granadosin, and first sung by Monte Tacoimo, the Dean of the College of Music, by Dean Acoimo. Diyan sa part na yan, maraming mga behind the scenes kasi yung background, you know. The vocal placement I was using was ginagaya ko nung si Shelito Del Mundo, you know, with her peculiar vocal tonal quality. So, yun ang ginamit ko for singing in that quality. And then, of course, yung mga drama-drama, mga acting, may mga iyak-iyak, may mga hugot ng panyo, you know. And some of these are, you know, mga ideas ni OA. Sasabihin ni OA, ni Ma'am OA na, o Boyong, maglagay ka ng panyo. So that makes it all the more talagang fun and entertaining.
So madaming soloista na dumaan dito sa Italian Salad. Parang itong coconut nut, but of course each of the pieces that is 4 or 5 different soloists and every batch has been performing this. So yung pwede na mag-grand idea for Sir Mark for the next siguro pwede tayo mag-grand Italian Salad.
Yun.
Nakikinig si Sir Mark ngayon. Ayan, request yan.
Yes.
Okay, so the thing with Italian Salad is, I think, napag-usapan natin to before the show na the text itself is about musical terms, di ba? Enrico, you have something to say about that?
No, I think how, kasi na-inherit na nga, di ba, yung solo and yan. And so we have a standard kung paano ginawa yung Italian Salad before and stories and all that. And pretty easy access to internet in 2004 when we first did it. And yung text kasi, as you said, all musical terms. And we as performers, how do we actually translate that to the audience? Kasi basically, kung ano yung gagawin natin dun sa piece, piano, forte, sforzando, espressivo, you know, all these like musical terms, it's mapapakita mo yung vocal acrobatics ng Madz. Kasi parang yung dynamics, yung ating interpretations, kung paano natin i-interpret yan. So that given on the side, let's put that on the table. Now, how do we translate it better? And how do we actually make it funny? And yung exaggeration in a very good way, is the best way of doing it. Kasi like, for example, as performers, it's easier to, you know, to actually exaggerate or put more on the table of your performance and then, you know, tone it down rather than the other way around. So parang feeling ko, the text alone and and then dagdagan pa natin with all the dancing and all the, you know, all the choreography at kung ano-ano pang pwedeng and props pa, di ba? So, like for me, it just shows how creative yung mga soloists, and then plus spontaneity and plus yung wala lang yung mga choreography. Ngayon kasi di ba may choreographer ng Madz. I mean, when nagko-choreograph na sa Madz, tayo lang din naman na nagko-choreograph ng ating mga comedy pieces at kung ano-ano pa. Yeah, but Italian Salad alone, when you just listen to it, going back sa pinag-usapan natin kanina, hindi, alam mo yun, parang hindi naman siya nakakatawa. But in a way, how we deliver it talaga is you know, like we try our best to exaggerate it in a good way. Para, oo nga, ganyan nga ang espresivo. And in the case of Lola Boyong, na talagang, di ba, with his vibrato and his apasionato, it translates well on stage, mapamaliit, mapamalaking stage na talaga, okay, that was passionate enough. So me as an audience, parang, oh my God, di ba? Parang, di ba? So funny siya in that.
Booking na ng age for 1984.
Ika nga sa theater. Ika nga sa theater, big movements. So, I mean, yung Italian Salad, bigger lahat. Yes, Alfred, sorry.
So, 1980, okay, booking na ng age. 1984 ba, Boyong, when we did this first in Nagano, I think?
Sabi mo 1986, yung Asian Choir Games?
No, 84, kinanta natin sa Nagano muna. Tapos 86. Kasi ang 1984, sila Connie Montet, tapos si Montet pa dun, si Roy Tolentino, who passed away na. Tapos 1986, si Monet na ang next. So when the first crop left, sabi ko, this is hard act to follow. Next batches, I wonder what they will do. Kasi parang may iconic interpretation. Especially yung sa dulo, kung Rabia, si Montet muna. He had his own interpretation. Tapos si Monet is so different. Monet Silvestre, Teacher Monet. Ibang-iba naman ang personality ni Monet kay Montet Akoy mo. And then after that, si Edward. Iba naman si Edward, di ba? Kasi si Edward is the hugot singer. The emotional singer. Yes. Then he's doing all of this very comedic stuff. Coming after Boyong's solo. Tapos, through the years, iba-iba. So yung spontaneity na lumalabas doon. Ngayon, the other thing that Enrico said is the pieza itself is just musical terms. That then you make it funny. I feel that the close cousin to Italian Salad is this other piece that is also epic in proportion, which is When the Saints Go Marching In. Kasi it's just When the Saints, same theme, everybody knows what When the Saints Go Marching In sounds like. And then, ganun din ang treatment, parang ganun din. Marami ring solo. Diba? Parang ganun din. Right. Siguro tingnan natin, Odette, yung When the Saints, and we'll discuss it.
Okay.
Back to back.
Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in.
Hang on. Before we go to that next thought, I just want to interject something. Leo Mascareñas, member of the Madz from the earlier years, just sent a message. Italian Salad was already in the repertoire of the Madz in the 1970s, Leo said.
Wow.
May part pa ng alam. So, homework for Madz out there.
Na pala, yes.
What can we have to find out more about Italian Salad because it goes back pa pala to the 70s. Nasa repertoire ng Madz yun. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, before we digress, go back to When the Saints.
John.
Kuya John.
Alam mo, mga gumagawa ng solo niyan talagang very witty, di ba? si Boyong gumagawa ng Chinese, di ba? Yung ancient China. Di ba yung ganun yung ano? The Empress Dowager. Parang ganun yung ano niya. Tapos may kwento yan eh. Sa Italy. Siyempre may bago pumasok sa stage, lahat kami naiihi, di ba? So alam namin yung kulay ng tissue dun sa banyo. Kulay pink. Tapos nung pinull out niya yung kanyang Chinese, aba, kulay pink yung tissue. So galing doon sa banyo, kinuha niya.
Boy!
So, alam mo yun, every time there's something different, di ba? Talagang, alam mo yun, sobrang nakakatawa talaga. If you watch Boyong, talagang super ano. And lahat din ng mga soloists sa When the Saints, like si Mark, di ba? Yung sa Japanese.
Japan.
Diba? Yung
Yes,
kanya,
Japanese.
Japan naman yung kanya, di ba? Meron siya yung
yes.
Ganon, di ba?
Cute.
4 na beses yun, di ba? Yung pang-4, hindi niya lalagyan, di ba? Yung wala, di ba? So parang merong something na different. You will, the audience will just see the spontaneity in the,
I think it was also evident when the most recent batch performed When the Saints Go Marching In. So parang nalipat sa kanila yung yung espiritu ni Boyong, and the other soloists have done it before, and they did it really well. I'd also like to mention that yung variations on When the Saints Go Marching In, nanganak din siya ng other versions, another version, another arrangement. Chris Borella did which part?
So, no, the first...
Dixie yata yung sa kanya eh. Ay, hindi, wrong.
Wait, hang on. The original, the history, ito naman yung dating myself. The original, I think in 1994 or 1992, we were in Europe, and then there was this choir, an Italian choir, sang it for us. So if Candy's listening, she might correct me here. So, senior moments. 1992, 1994, there's this Italian choir. They sang When the Saints Go Marching In variations. There were 4 variations. So then, in the great tradition, Renee, sabi niya, i-shock ang pyesa, may magagawa tayo dyan. So the first performance was just 4 versions. And then the theme of When the Saints is musical styles. May madrigal, may waltz. So it's just different musical styles. So it can really be boring. It can really be boring. So ginawa niya yon. And then Yudi added a few things. And then Christopher Borella added. So in the great tradition of variations on a theme, When the Saints original, 4 pieces from Italy, boring na siya as it is. Pero dinagdagan ng Madz na mga whatever. Then Yudi added, and Yudi's a genius when it comes to musical styles, playing with musical styles. He's a genius at that. Then Chris Borella, who is the supposedly not funny.
Added Spanish.
And then a lot of members added to the spiels in between. And then it became a pinagkawing-kawing, to borrow Ma'am O's term. People were adding and adding and adding in the great tradition. The last scene in the When the Saints, last batch ba yun? Oh my God. Sinaniba na sila talaga.
Sinaniba full on choreography.
Props talaga.
So a lot of these songs came from, nagbunga ito sa Madz Goes Pop at saka Madz Tawanan concerts. If you notice, no? I mean, maraming mga songs come out of the regular course of the Madz. Pero ang Madz, if you look at the history, Madz Tawanan and Madz Goes Pop history, there have been several in the history. So the Madz reputation as a serious, tough kind of a choir, but venturing into the pop genre and even dared to go into the comedy genre, and voila, a new generation of choral literature was born. So, di ba, marami tayong mga ganyan. Ano yung mga songs that you know that comes out of the Madz Tawanan or Madz Goes Pop na naging top ha-ha-ha repertoire natin?
Boyong.
Natulog.
Anong mga songs yun?
Well, of course, Let It Be, we first premiered it in this Madz Goes Pop 1988. And I have a trivia, guess who was the first soloist of Let It Be in that pop concert? She was not a regular member yet. Ano lang siya, special guest appearance.
Hindi si Michelle, naabutan Si Michelle naabutan ko.
Hindi si Annie Nepomuceno, not Annie or Ana.
Hindi si Baby. Hindi si Ana.
Ikaw ba? Ikaw?
Ikaw na naman.
Ikaw.
It was
Boyong?
No, it was no less than Diday Veneracion, the daughter of national artist Andrea Veneracion. Special guest na kami dyan. Talagang gets ka noon.
Interesting.
Hindi siya kasama. Kasama lang siya sa tour noon.
Hindi. Kailan mo si Diday?
Nagte-train na.
94
yun.
Hindi pa siya Madz noong 88. Wala pa si Diday joined the European tour.
Yes, 90s.
Yes,
94.
90s.
94. I'll ask Diday. So, but you know what? Madz Goes Pop is not a recent phenomena. As early as early 1970s, 1970 to be exact. Look at this program from 1972. Can you show this? This is Ang Bigat. Madz Goes Pop 1972. Ang Bigat. 1972 na nagpa-pop repertoire ng Madrigal, the serious choir, Goes Pop. Okay, look at the next page. This is the repertoire that they have. Let's flip to the next page. Boyong, can you recognize any of this repertoire?
Well, actually, nung sumali ako nung 83, naabutan ko pa itong Where is Love? Tapos, Desiderata, we did Desiderata, si Ralph Olazo pa, ang yumaong Ralph Olazo yung nagsasolo nung Go Amidst the Placid, ek. And then, ano pa ba? If We Only Have Love, yan. So out of this, nung mga early 80s, siguro mga 3-4 na kanta yung na-retain sa repertoire ng Madz.
Next page, please. Next page, please. Next page, please. Look at the arrangers. So some of them you will recognize, the Fabiano Bispo, the Noel Velasco, and then even si Tesis Urbano pala was arranging it. Look at the third arrangement. Do you recognize who is that arranger? Who also sang with the Madz in this program, 1972, Madz Goes Pop. Cast of characters, fourth name from the top on the left side. Sip Kayabyab. Sino itong si Sip Kayabyab? Si Mr. C. Is part of the
Brian Balayan.
That's Brian Kayabyab. 1972, Ang Bigat. Okay.
So, Ang Bigat.
Ang bigat talaga, nun pa lang. So, we were talking about Madz Tawanan, Enrico, last few days, mentioning about the mission and Madz Tawanan. Yung the hatid saya thing.
Yeah, kasi like for example, kaya I keep stressing out na yung huhu hahaha is a great way of introducing or reintroducing the Madz repertory. Kasi nga, di ba, there are both sides of human emotions, di ba? It's the laughter and also the hugot part, which is like us being sentimental. And when we did Madz Tawanan, it's, like, hindi lang pagpapatawa in a slapstick way yung gusto naming gawin on stage. But in a way, we'll take the audiences in this journey of like, okay, there is a love to laugh, which is basically, it's it from Sound of Music, diba? And there also is like premieres and stuff, and a lot of medleys and all that stuff. So anyway, so I think Madz Tawanan is our little way of taking the audiences, taking us as performers to just like in this roller coaster of different types of laughter and joyful and happy emotions. So and then Madz Tawanan, Madz Goes Pop, Madz Goes Pop, meron pang halakhakan before.
Yeah.
Meron pa.
Yeah, and then kahit yung repertoire na Ang Bigat is like, like for yun naman ibang world naman yan. Pero yeah, so anyway, so Madz Tawanan is something na hindi ko alam, ginawa na ba yung Madz Tawanan before 2006 or bago ito? Na-conceive.
Bago yata. No, it's new. And I think the best person to hear it from is of course none other than the director of Madz Tawanan. We got his insights. No other than Mr. Chris Miliado. Can we have his video, please?
I'm not sure where the idea of Madz Tawanan, the concert, the comedy concert really came from, but I do remember na one time Sina Alfred, I think, and Sina Mark approached me and said, would you be interested in doing a concert that's not traditionally Madz, but a little bit madcap on the side of madcap? And of course I like jump in my seat because I've always been a fan of Madz, and I would see them perform on stage in a very formal way, the usual like a semicircle, and you could see in the singing yung lahat ng seriousness and discipline that may have gone into it. But at the same time, because I've traveled with them in some outreach shows and seen them in a few unguarded moments, I noticed that they would have so much fun off stage. They would be, although they were taking their craft seriously, I would notice there was also a lot of laughter, especially after rehearsals, and they would laugh at themselves, laugh at their mistakes, and so on. And this was the kind of energy that I thought we wanted to bring into the stage in a rare concert, in a rare view of the Madz, doing campy, doing zany, crazy things on the main theater. I think it started with, I told them, can you list like what could compose your repertoire? So they came up with a repertoire of songs that ranged from novelty songs. There was a bit of vaudeville, I think. There was a bit of parody of classical music. I remember there were Yo-Yo Villame songs too. And there was a bit of karaoke, I remember. And then at some point we said, why don't we even bring in songs that might require and engage with audiences in an audience participation number. So at some point, this hodgepodge of repertoire, we started to stitch it together and came up with some kind of almost vaudeville type of structure. During the rehearsals and the staging, the natural parang comedic talents of the members of the Madrigal Singers came to fore, and everyone just contributed in terms of clown acts and even choreography in terms of putting all of those bits together. Rehearsals were just like fun. Rehearsals were exploring ways of getting out of the usual Madrigal Singers mode and basically having fun with the numbers and seeing how audiences could be much more engaged in other ways. We weren't sure how it would work, but we do remember that at the main theater, which was as usual, filled with audiences to the rafters. As you know, Madz is the only choral group that could sell out tickets at the main theater, the 2,000-seat main theater. The young members of the Madrigal Singers just pulled it off big time. I mean, it's one thing to blend beautifully with well-made, well-arranged songs. It's quite another to make the songs stand up as comedy. I think just like in theater, comedic timing is much more difficult than dramatic timing. And they say that that most of the time it's the very serious dramatic actors who make the best comedians, because they know the timing for making those punches. And I think that's what made that concert night of Madz Tawanan, this novelty comedy concert, successful, because we had a group of young people who in their hearts were practically closet comedians and vaudeville performers, but were highly talented in terms of crafting and expressing the music, and were daring enough to get out of their comfort zones and engage with audiences in a different way. So that was Madz Tawanan.
Thank you, Sir Chris, for sending that very insightful message testimonial on Madz Tawanan. It was very interesting how he explained yung talagang yung collaboration process between the Madz and him and all of the ideas. Tapos it was also nice of him to mention how the singers played a big role, not only in as the performer, but yung their contributions in making the songs more interesting. I just have to point out, Alfred mentioned to me that the first song in that concert is I Love to Laugh from Mary Poppins. And then it ends with What a Wonderful World. So parang it starts with an invitation for people to laugh kasi I love to laugh, di ba? Masaya. And then it ends with something very, yun nga, yung kagaya ng sinabi ni Enrico kanina, parang mapapangiti ka na lang after all of the laughter na experience with this concert. So it was very memorable. And in fact, the Madz Tawanan was so successful. The CCP, through its cultural exchange department, decided to bring it on tour to different provinces all over the country. So thank you again to CCP and thank you to Sir Chris. Yeah.
Isa pang lumabas sa Madz Tawanan, I don't correct me if I'm wrong kasi I wasn't saying then. Enrico, you were there, di ba? Kasama ka doon. Mm-hmm. So isa pang mga lumabas sa Madz Tawanan, aside from this range of emotions, somewhere in the middle, we have all of these wonderful medleys and mashups na lumalabas out of this sort of concerts.
Yeah.
Oh yes, correct. I think kasi like any concert, ang dami nating gustong ilagay sa mga sa concert, di ba? Ang dami mga songs. There's just an abundance of like for example, an abundance of conversation or abundance of speeches na pwede natin. And ang creative kasi ng and then sa Madz we have a pool of like really good arrangers and composers. So ang creative lang na parang okay, why don't we do mashups and why don't we do medleys and all that and with a common theme or with something like for example Padivahan medley. Sa Madz Tawanan yata namin ginawa yan second time after a
I think so yun.
collaboration with UE or something like that. And then we after that may Superman medley na, meron ng Rain medley and all these like medleys na parang with a common theme and I think dito ang wala lang, ang husay-husay lang gawin ng Madrigal kasi like it's very creative, ang witty, sabi nga ni Kuya Jong kanina, ang witty kasi ng mga members and riding on Direct Chris Meliado's what he just said earlier na parang when we're caught unguarded backstage and we're just like having fun and all that, it's inspiring kasi we're very resilient people and we just want to like okay, and then you get inspiration from that. And then we have this like pool of arrangers na mag-arrange sa mga, okay, paano ko kaya i-relate Singing in the Rain with The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow, for example, ganyan. Or some 70s, 80s pop hits to a Padivahan medley. Bakit kaya siya ginawa or tinawag na Padivahan medley or something like that? So, yeah, and then, wala lang, ang dami kong mga nakanta mga medley or mashups with Madz na talagang, tawag dito, wala lang, it's, imagine mo in like 5 to 10 minutes, mas-squeeze mo maybe what? 5-10 pieces in like 5 to 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. So ang galing natin gawin ang mga medley, the art of like of the Madz medley, ika nga ni Kuya Alfred.
Ano yung art of Madz medley to Jong, to Boyong, or ikaw Odette, ano yung favorite medley, mashups or medleys na narinig nyo kahit hindi nyo nakanta?
Jong siguro.
Superman. Natawa kasi ako kasi yung una nun parang very serious pati yung intro, alam mo Superman lang yung kanta. Tapos papasukan ng nung alam mo yon habang may buhay na tapos
yes.
Ibang kanta naman yung iba naman, di ba? Yung mga typical ate gay, parang comedian na alam mo yun, something. Ay nako. Hilarious, super.
Very dynamic kasi parang hindi lang siya hindi mo ine-expect. Kahit na ako ang feeling ko lang, my feeling is, though I hear it, I listen to them when they rehearse, it's parang naging surprise Siguro dahil dun sa mga ginagawa din nila. Boyong, meron ka bang medley ng Madz na napanood din in the most na recently?
Actually, yung hindi ko makakalimutan is yung medley nila rin kumakanta sila ng pumapatak na naman ang ulan. So I like that medley. Yeah.
Rain.
Yung Rain. Okay.
Rain
Ako
medley.
pareho. Gusto ko katulad din kay Jong. Since tayo gumawa ng script, pues, pakinggan natin ang favorite medley namin ni Jong. Excerpt. Go! Can we look at this one? Favorite namin.
Ang galing! Ang galing ni Sharon. Ate Shawi, are you watching? Thank you for kita-kit sa McDo.
How do you top
Punchline.
that?
Oo nga.
Wish na nakanta ko yun, hindi ko na nabutan yun. But how do you top that? Karaoke League. Gusto ko rin yun.
Is another
So
one.
for our dear listeners who cannot obviously play everything because we are really watching the time, and this is not going to be a 6-hour show, so the only thing you can take away from this program is a list of listening things. So by listening homework tayo, a lot of these songs are not are in YouTube or are in the Facebook of different people. You just have to be creative to find out. So after the show, please go and look it up, search for it, Google it. Hanapin nyo po because you can find all of this in the Google. The earlier works, well, we're talking to Boyong here how we can put them up because some of the earlier works are really very blurred na minsan.
Very, very old.
But
VHS levels.
This is one reason why you should tune in to the future Madz Talk because we're trying to bring into this show things that you don't hear and that are not on YouTube and that are not on Facebook. No? Yung mga katulad ng mga bloopers ni Annie na dito lang yan makikita ninyo after 13 years. After 13 years of trying to bury it, we are able to unearth it. So we are going to do lots of that again. So homework lang yan for our dear listeners. Odette. So no, before we it's almost time.
End this.
I'd like to ask our guests. We had so much fun with you. Do you have any last closing remarks for our listeners? We have doubled the listeners. I think from last episode, our technical team just sent us a message that we have double the viewers from last week. Thank you to our listeners. So for our listeners whose reason it is why we're doing the show, any last closing remarks?
Sure. I think tama yung sabi. I'll write on what you just said. I invite our listeners, our audiences to, grab a popcorn, grab your favorite chips or snack, or grab a glass of wine or coffee or whatever you want. And go on YouTube and Google all these fun stuff. Because when we were doing the script and we were talking about this, nung pinanood ko yung Superman, I can't stop laughing. And then I put myself in the audience's shoes na parang, okay, I'll just listen as if I've never heard this before. And I cannot stop laughing. And then I rewatched it again as like, okay, kunyari hindi ko sila kilala. Kunyari hindi ko to colleagues, hindi ko to friends. Tawa pa rin ako ng tawa. There's something special to it. So I invite you to pause, reflect, just like sit, relax, play something, not just of the Madz, but ang daming mga medleys and like comedic pieces ng mga Filipino choral groups, di ba? So from the Madz, many else, go on YouTube, mag-YouTube binge kayo while we're still in sheltering in places, and enjoy and just like us performers and audiences, we both need to pause and just like find comfort and joy. And so enjoy listening to it, and thank you for having me again.
Thank you,
Annie. Thank you,
Okay.
Enrico. John?
Ako siguro sa mga future soloists, be the best version of yourself and do not be a copycat of somebody else. Yon.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Jong. And from the legendary Boyong.
Yeah. Well, with all my experience performing and singing with the Madz through the years, what I can say is, Andrea Veneracion prepares a concert program that brings out joy and positive outlook. So laging positive yung spirit na inaano natin sa audience. And I think we're very successful in bringing that message to our audience.
Yes.
Okay. Odette.
As we always say, every single member or alumni of the Madz know that it is our mission to always bring joy and inspiration to our audiences. So thank you to Enrico, to Jong, and to Boyong. Before we end our show, I just like to acknowledge a few people. Well, lahat ng Madz are saying that nakikita pa lang namin si Boyong, masayang-masaya na kami. So, I think they are.
Next part, meron ng mga vocal demos, ha?
So yun yung comment na binibigay sa akin ng ating tech team, that all of the Madz who are watching right now say that nakikita pa lang nila si Boyong, masaya na sila. So we thank, of course, the Madz who are watching right now, most especially to Sir Mark. Maaga lagi si Sir Mark. Hello, Sir Mark. And there's one comment here that I'd like to read. It's by Joe Quintana. He said, a week before my mama died, she requested me to play Sabit-Sabit sa Christmas Tree because it makes her happy while she was on her deathbed. So kaya memorable sa kanya yung Sabit-Sabit sa Christmas Tree. And a lot more. We'd also like to acknowledge Mr. Nico Villanueva for making these wonderful backgrounds for us. Thank you, Nico. And sayang si Jong.
Oo nga eh.
So, thank you very much. So,
1 minute. Pwede ba pa 10 seconds? Meron pa lang may naalala lang kami. Meron pa lang butchikik si Sir Mark sa Madz Tawanan. So maybe one of these days mapapalabas na ang butchikik ni Sir Mark.
Meron?
Meron daw. Meron, naalala ko, meron mga nagawa ko, si Kit Biel actually, sabi niya, may butchikik si Sir Mark sa Madz Tawanan. So somewhere in the
Cancel na yung show. Okay.
Somewhere in the music library.
Tatandaan ko yan. Sir Mark, nanganganib ka.
Lagot.
We love you, Sir Mark.
Anything else, Odette?
That would be all. I think we're in the end of our program.
Next week, we're going to be on again at 8:30. We invite all of you to come back. It's a different show next week. We are celebrating the birthday of our dear founder, Professor Andrea Veneracion. So next week, it is Dear Mama OA's birthday special. Today, you've learned lots of things, I hope, being spontaneous, bring originality. Ika nga sabi ni John, be a better version of yourself for singers out there. And at the end of the day, it's all about bringing this positive energy forward. Marami tayong listening homework. There are so many things that you need to listen to. As Enrico said, grab your popcorn or wine or chichiria or whatever, and then go troll the internet. And if you find something that's interesting, let us know. We are happy to feature it here. You can easily contact us to the Madz Facebook page. This program is going to be put up in the Madz Music Studio Facebook page. We are producing the show as part of our mission of the Philippine Madrigal Singers to keep bringing joy and inspiration and touching the lives of our audiences, even if we cannot come together and stage concerts for you. And typical in the Madz tradition, it is all 60 years of all of us bringing this together. So even as we speak, our our friends our alumni from the 60s, from the 70s are contributing everything. So yan ang Madz spirit through the years. This is a collaborative of all of our stories and all of our hearts to all of you until we come back next week. Okay, Odette, time to say goodbye.
And for our closing, our choir master, Sir Mark, has chosen this beautiful, this witty, this ingenious, and unexpected mashup to bid everyone good night. So enjoy, keep on singing, keep on touching the hearts of others through music, keep on smiling. Good night, everybody. See you next Sunday.
Okay, bye-bye.